Greetings, friends. We are learning lesson 2 Real Estate Investment Trust of Module 3, Paper 7 Professional Program CS Corporate Funding and Listing in Stock Exchange. Till now, we have learned in 3 videos the big concept of real estate investment trust, and finally, in last video, I touched upon the delisting procedure. Today I will be preparing the last video of real estate investment trust, covering upon all the topics which we have covered till now. The real estate investment trust, as you understood, is an investment vehicle that invests in rent yielding completed real estate properties, which has the potential to transform the real estate sector. RET helps attracting long term financing from domestic as well as foreign sources. So, the background of real estate investment trust, it started in US in 1960s. SEBI, in line with real estate investment trust, something of similar sort, introduced a state real estate mutual fund, which was recommended by AMFI committee. Then we had a draft regulation in 2008, but that didn't see the light of the day. Finally, 2013, a regulatory framework was once again put on public domain for comments, and finally, the real estate investment trust regulation 2014 was notified on 26 September 2014. Real estate investment trust is governed by SEBI RET regulation 2014. Then it is a trust, as its name suggests, under the Indian Trust Act, and parties to REITs are sponsor group, redesignated sponsor, manager, and trustee. There are stipulation regarding maximum number of sponsor that RET can have and unit holders holding obligations. It is required that each sponsor should hold minimum 5%, and collectively they should hold 25% for the first 3 years after listing date of listing, and for the rest of the period they can hold not less than 15% of the outstanding units of REIT trust. Investment condition has been listed out कि at least 80% of value of REIT asset is invested in completed and revenue yielding properties, so that the unit holder gets the revenue out of their against their investment they made. Other 20% can be invested in developmental properties, mortgage backed securities, government securities, unutilized FSI of a project, TDR acquired for the purpose of utilization, and money market equipments. Then the regulation require that valuation should be done on half yearly basis, and NAV should be declared within 15 days of valuation or updation. Then income 90% is to be distributed among the unit holder, and that too after tax money which is generated by REIT investment, and at least half yearly it has to be distributed, and not beyond the period of 15 days. The mode of investment has been provided that they can directly invest or through SPVs. There is concept of holdcos. They can also invest through holdco. Directly or through SPV, it provides that SPV should be holding at least 80% of their assets directly in such properties and shall not invest in other SPVs. The RET shall hold controlling interest and not less than 50% of the equity share capital in the special purpose vehicle. Initial offer restriction, at least 250 crore is required to be the public issue size, and for all under matlab initial offer and follow on offer, right issues, qualified institutional placement, minimum subscription size of the units of REIT shall be rupees 50,000, and it is required that the unit offered to the public in initial offer shall not be less than 25% of the number of units of the REIT on post issue basis. There is relaxation to this 25% limit as provided under regulation sub regulation 2A of regulation 14, and trading lot is to be of 100 units minimum in the 100 unit lots. Then there is a stipulation that borrowing and deferred payment both cannot exceed 49% of the value of RET assets, and individually if they exceed 25%, then there is a requirement that they should get approval from the unit holder and credit rating agencies. Eligibility condition has been prescribed. How what are the eligibility criteria for registration of a REIT? First, applicant must be a sponsor on behalf of trust, and trust deed shall be duly registered in India under the provision of Registration Act 1908, containing its main objective as undertaking activities of REIT in accordance with the REIT regulation. It should have clear cut stipulation regarding the responsibilities of the trustees in accordance with the provision of the regulation, and persons have to be designated as sponsor, managers, and trustee, and all such persons are required to be a separate entity. Who can be the sponsor? Each sponsor to hold not less than 5% individually, and 15% collectively after the lapse of 3 years. Otherwise, initially they have to hold 25% for this period of 3 years. They need to be identified clearly that they are the sponsor, who will be the sponsor in the registration and offer document. Net worth requirement has been stipulated that collectively total 100 crore of net worth of a sponsor should be there, and individually not less than 20 crore rupees. They should have experience of 5 years in the relevant field, that is development of real estate, fund management, real estate management, and if it is a developer, then at least he should have to develop project. Then there is a concept of manager. They are the parties to the REIT. Manager could be a body corporate or LLP. If it is a body corporate, means company, then its net worth should be not less than 10 crore, and if it is LLP, then net tangible asset should be 10 crore. They should have the manager is also required to have experience of 5 years in fund management, advisory services, property management, real estate industry, or development of these properties. They should have 2 key managerial key personnel who holds the 5-year experience as required for the manager. Then trustee, as I told, trustee could be only those who are registered under the SEBI trustee regulation 1993, and they should not be related to a sponsor or manager. There are some other conditions which has been prescribed for the registration. Among them are the unit holder of the REIT shall not enjoy superior voting right or any other rights over another unit holder, and there shall be multiple classes of not be multiple classes of REIT. Then the application describes the whatever application is issued in the public offer, then a applicant has clearly described at the time of application, and their purpose of activities, all this is required. The REIT and parties to REIT are fit and proper person based on the criteria as specified in Schedule 2 of SEBI Intermediary Regulation 2008. Whether any previous application rejected or some disciplinary action has been taken against them should also be disclosed in the application for registration. how issue and allotment is done. Issue initial is required to be made by means of initial offer only. Then there is a precondition that no initial offer unless it is registered first. Then the value of asset owned by REIT should not be less than 500 crore, including holding in underlying SPV. It could be complied before allotment, anytime before the allotment. Minimum number of unit holder other than sponsors related parties should not be less than 200 at any given point of time. Offer size, as I told, it's required to be minimum 250 crore. Then how many unit are required to be offered to the public? The for a REIT raising funds through an initial offer, the unit proposed to be offered to the public through such initial offer shall not be less than 25% of the total of the outstanding unit of REIT and the units being offered by way of the offer document if the post issue capital of REIT is calculated at the offer price of 1600, and if 1600 is between 1600 crore more than 1600 crore to 4000 crore, then the offer size initial offer should be of rupees 400 crore, that is 10% of the 4000 crore. If it is beyond 4000 crore the offer size, then 10% of whatever has been the issue size. Unit offered to sponsor, manager, related parties, associate not to be counted in the aforesaid amount. Listed REIT to have at least 25%. If it falls below the 25%, then REIT is required to increase within 3 years from the date of listing, so that to comply and continue its listing in the designated stock exchange. Draft offer document with fees for designated stock exchange and SEBI has to be filed through merchant banker. That is, REIT through the merchant banker shall file a offer document along with the prescribed fee with the designated stock exchange and SEBI not less than 30 working days before filing offer document with the designated stock exchange. It should be made available to public for their comment for a period not less than 21 days. Then along with draft offer document and as well as along with the final offer, it should be submitted along with the due diligence certificate signed by lead merchant banker, and it is his responsibility to ensure that all comments received from SEBI on the offer document are suitably taken into account prior to filing of the offer document with the designated stock exchange. In case the comment and observation is received within 21 days from SEBI or designated stock exchange. In case no observation is received within the 21 working days, then REIT may file the offer document or follow on offer document with SEBI and the exchanges. The final offer document shall be filed with the designated stock exchange and SEBI not less than 5 working days before opening of the offer. The maximum time limit for filing the offer document, initial offer document, is 1 year from the date of issuance of observation by SEBI. So this is applicable for follow-on offer as well as right issues in case of REIT. Who can invest? Any person, whether he is a resident or a foreign. In case of foreign investor, such investment shall be subject to guideline as may be specified by RBI and the government from time to time. Application with statement containing abridged version of offer document detailing risk factor and terms of issues. Whatever application is given to the unit proposed unit holder, all these details are required. How allotment is done? Now, initial offer or follow-on offer shall not be open for subscription for a period of more than 30 days. That is the minimum period required. In case of oversubscription, proportionate allotment is done. If allotment is done or the some amount is to be refunded, then it should be refunded within the 12 working days from date of closing of the offer, and issues are required to be only in dematerialized form. Price is determined by book building process and any other process which may be issued by means of circular guidelines of SEBI, RBI, and the manner as prescribed by SEBI. Refund conditions are it money is to be refunded to all if the REIT fails to collect subscription amount not exceeding 90% of fresh issue size, or the number of subscriber is less than 200. It is to be refunded to applicant where there is a oversubscription. They can retain up to 25%. Beyond that, they have to refund to the applicant. For keeping 25% of the issue size also, whatever excess money they want to keep, it needs to be disclosed in the offer document itself. Failure to allot or list or refund within time attract interest at the rate of 15% per annum till allotment, listing, or refund, whatever the case may be, and it should not be charged from the manager on account of fees payable to him. 10% of the amount could be kept as a amount for the general purpose. This needs to be declared in the offer document. RET failure to make initial offer. Suppose you got an REIT has got a registration and it fails to make an initial offer within 3 years from the date of registration, then it is required to surrender the certificate and it will cease to operate as a REIT. However, SEBI has been given power to in appropriate cases extend it for 1 year. Again, if registration is surrendered, REIT can again get itself re-registered by reapplying. How before listing and trading, offer document and advertisement. The offer document of REIT shall contain material, true, correct, and adequate disclosure to enable the investor to make an informed decision. Similarly, advertisement. Material relating to any issue of unit of the REIT shall not be misleading and shall not contain anything extraneous to the content of the offer document. If an advertisement contains positive highlights, it shall also contain risk factor and with equal importance, so that everybody could take an informed decision. For listing, it is after the initial offer, it shall be mandatory for all units of REIT to be listed on the recognized stock exchange having nationwide trading terminal within a period of 12 working days from the date of closure of offer, and in accordance with the listing agreement entered between the REIT and the designated stock exchange. In the event that there is some problem and non-receipt of listing permission from the stock exchange or withdrawal of the observation letter by the SEBI, the unit shall not be eligible for listing and the REIT shall be liable to refund the subscription monies to the respective allottees immediately along with interest at the rate of 15% per annum from the date of allotment. Now, trading. Unit are traded as per the bylaws of the concerned stock exchange and in lots of 100 units. The RET shall redeem either by way of in fact it has the redemption option only by way of buyback or at the time of delisting. Holding period stipulation has been given for other than a sponsor for a period who holds a unit prior to the initial offer shall hold it for a period not less than 1 year from the date of listing, subject to circular and guidelines issued by SEBI from time to time. Now, as I have told you earlier, REIT delisting last time delisting of infrastructure investment trust was asked. So delisting could be one of the topic which we should pay attention to. And for delisting, there has been a specific provision that manager has to the manager shall apply for delisting of units of the REIT to SEBI and the designated stock exchange if conditions are public holding falls below the specified limit, that is 25 less than 25% or less than 200 unit holder, if there are no project or assets remaining under the REIT for a period exceeding 6 months, and REIT does not propose to invest in any project in future, the period of this 6 month can be extended by another 6 months by the approval of unit holder in the manner as specified in regulation. Then stock exchange or SEBI may require delisting for violation of listing agreement or this regulation. SEBI or the designated stock exchange has power to either approve or reject the application for delisting in the interest of unit holder. Then there is power to SEBI by which instead of requiring delisting of unit in proper cases in deems wherever it deems fit may provide additional time to REIT or parties to REIT to comply with the REIT regulation. As I told you, SEBI can reject the application and take any other action as deemed fit under REIT regulation or the act for violation of listing agreement of REIT regulation or the act. Then the procedure for delisting is delisting of unit of REIT including provision to exit option to the unit holder shall be in accordance with the listing agreement and in accordance with procedure as may be specified by SEBI or by the designated stock exchanges from time to time. Then SEBI may require the REIT to wind up and sell its assets in order to redeem units of the unit holders for the purpose of delisting of units, and SEBI may through circulars or guidelines specify the manner of such winding up or sales. After delisting, REIT shall surrender its certificate of registration to SEBI and shall no longer undertake activity of REIT. However, liability remains even after delisting. Whosoever are party to REIT are responsible and liable for the act undertaken by them during the period REIT was registered. Now, REIT investment conditions and distribution policies. Before going for investment condition and distribution policies, one important concept is of holdco, holding company. This is altogether different than what we have read in Companies Act. A holdco can be A holdco or a holding company shall mean a company or LLP, means it could be a company or LLP in which REIT holds or proposed to hold not less than 50% of the equity share capital or interest, and it in turn has made investment in other SPVs which ultimately holds the properties. These SPVs are called underlying SPVs. Second, which is not engaged, company or LLP which is not engaged in any other activity other than holding of the underlying SPVs, holding of real estate properties and any other activities pertaining to the or incidental to such holding. These are the requirement for holdco under REIT, which will be a company or LLP. Now, what is SPV? Similarly, SPV is also either a company or LLP in which either REIT or the holdco holds or propose to hold not less than 50% of equity share capital or interest. Secondly, which hold not less than 80% of the assets directly in properties and does not invest in other special purpose vehicle, and which is not engaged in any activity other than holding and developing property and any other activity incidental to such holding and development. Now, we would try to understand the whole investment through RET by means of this drawing. Now, we have conditions where first REIT could directly invest. It could directly invest in property. Then it could invest in holdco. Holdco can directly invest. The other condition is REIT invest in SPVs which has the REIT assets. The last condition is that REIT invest in holdco, holdco invest in SPV, and then SPV invest in REIT assets. Now, we come back to investment condition and distribution policies. The investment by REIT shall only be in holdco and or SPV or properties or securities or TDR in India and in accordance with the investment strategy as detailed in the offer document as may be amended subsequently. It shall not invest where vacant land, agriculture land, mortgaged other than mortgage with backed securities. This exclude contiguous extended land project. May invest through SPV subject to no partner who shareholder of SPV shall exercise right which prevent compliance with these regulations, and an agreement has been entered into with such shareholder or partner to that effect prior to investment in SPV. There could be possibility to settle the dispute between SPV and RET in the agreement or the arrangement made between REIT and SPV. Then further, the provision of REIT regulation shall prevail in case of inconsistencies between such agreements and the obligation cast upon REIT under regulation. There is a condition that REIT may invest through SPV subject to the manager in consultation with the trustee shall appoint at least such number of nominees on the board of directors or the governing board of such SPVs as applicable which are in proportion to the shareholding or holding interest of the RET in the SPV. The manager, in consultation with trustee, shall appoint the majority of the board of director or governing board. The manager shall ensure voting right is exercised in every general meeting and including AGM. These are the conditions required for investment through SPV. Now we come to REIT investment in properties through holdco. Again here somewhat conditions has been specifically given, which states that REIT may invest in properties through holdco subject to the ultimate holding interest of the REIT in the underlying SPV is not less than 26%. So if REIT invests in the route given in the picture, then ultimate 26% stake is required to invest in that property. Then no other shareholder or partner of the holdco or the SPV shall exercise any right that prevent the REIT or holdco or the SPV from complying with the provision of REIT regulation, and an agreement has been entered into such shareholder or partner to that effect prior to investment in holdco and or SPV. However, the shareholders agreement or partnership agreement shall provide for an appropriate mechanism for resolution of dispute between REIT and other stakeholder, that is shareholder or partner of in the holdco or SPV. The condition similar to given in SPV, RET investment to SPV, that is manager should appoint majority of board member in holdco. Then it should all appointment is to be done in consultation with trustee. Majority of board is to be appointed by manager, and then manager to ensure that voting right is exercised in every GM and AGM. Not less than 80% of the value of REIT assets shall be invested in completed and rent and or income generating properties. This we have learned in the beginning of the chapter itself when we were reading the salient features of REIT. So the investment has to be made through a holdco or SPV, whether by way of equity or debt or equity linked instrument or partnership interest. Only the portion of direct investment in properties by such holdco and or SPV shall be considered, and the remaining portion shall be included as given in other places of SPV. Remaining portion is 20%. As we have read that these 20% can be invested in assets other than as provided for 80%. So those are properties whether directly or through company or through LLP which are under construction. Properties which shall be held by the RET for not less than 3 years after completion. Second, under construction property which are a part of the existing income generating properties owned by REIT which shall be held by RET for not less than 3 years after completion. Then completed and not rent generating properties which shall be held by RET for not less than 3 years from the date of purchase. All these property could be purchased by 20%, the balance part of the 20% of the value of REIT. Rest we have read that they can invest in mortgage-backed securities, government securities, unutilized FSI of a project where it already has made investment. The other conditions are aforesaid condition to be complied within time of offer document. These are the conditions specified and shall be monitored on half yearly basis and at the time of acquisition of assets. Not less than 51% of consolidated revenue of REIT, Holdco, and the SPV, other than gains arising from disposal of property, shall be at all times from rental, leasing, and letting real estate assets or any other income incidental to leasing of such property. Half yearly basis, this needs to be complied. If it is breached, then manager to inform trustee and ensure compliance within 6 months, which can be again extended for another period of 6 months with the approval of unit holders, that is the investor. For any sale of property, whether by REIT or Holdco or the SPV, or for sale of shares or interest in the SPV by the Holdco or REIT exceeding 10% of the value of REIT assets in a financial year, the manager shall obtain approval from the unit holders. REIT should not invest in units of other REITs. Then REIT shall not undertake lending to any person other than holding company special purpose vehicle in which the REIT has invested, subject to disclosure specified in REIT regulation, and the such investment in debt securities shall not be considered as lending. Co-investment with any person in any transaction, conditions given is that the REIT can invest, however terms shall not be more favorable to other person. It shall not prevent REIT in complying with the regulation, and agreement should include minimum percentage of distributable cash flow so that the REIT complied the regulations. Distribution made through made by the REIT and the Holdco and or SPV. Not less than 90% of net distributable cash flows of SPV shall be distributed to the REIT or Holdco in proportion of the holding in the SPV, subject to applicable provision under Companies Act or Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008. With regard to distribution of net distributable cash flow by Holdco to the REIT, subject to same provision of Companies Act and Limited Liability Act, the following needs to be complied. That is, with respect to the cash flow received by the Holdco from underlying SPV, 100% of such cash flow received by Holdco shall be distributed to REITs. This is the manner. Suppose the white portion is a special purpose vehicle and a special purpose vehicle generates some money. It goes to Holdco. Then from Holdco to REIT, 100% of that amount should go. If cash flow is generated by Holdco itself, then 90% of such net distributable cash flow shall be distributed. And we have already read कि if it is SPV, then 90% of that amount should go to Holdco. What does this mean? That SPV distributable income 90% goes to Holdco, that 90% goes as 100% to REITs. Distribution made by REIT and Holdco and SPV. Not less than 90% of net distributable cash flow of RET to unit holder once in 6 months within 15 days. Property sold, then if it is reinvesting, sale proceeds not required to distribute. If not to invest, then within 1 year to distribute 90% as per the listing provision, not less than 90% as per the listing provision. And trading of units. Late distribution, that is liability of the manager, 15% per annum interest if it is not distributed within 15 days of declaration. Rights. Unit holder, the rights and has been given in the regulation. The rights are to receive income as per offer document and trust deed. Matter if required approval, matters which are required approval of unit holder, then it will be considered as passed only if vote cast in favor exceed by certain percentage. This percentage is described in the regulation. Secondly, the voting may also be done by postal ballot or electronic mode. A notice of 21 days, not less than 21 days, is required to be given to the unit holder either in writing or through electronic mode. The voting by related party associate shall not be considered. If manager is interested, then by meeting will be conducted by trustee, convened by trustee, and vice versa. That means if trustee is interested party, then manager will convene the meeting and make arrangements for the meeting. Annual meeting is required to be done once in a year within not less than one in a year within 120 days from the end of financial year, and there cannot be gap of more than 15 months between two such meetings. Annual meeting, any information which is required to be disclosed to the unit holders and any issue in the ordinary course of business may require approval of the unit holder may be taken up in the meeting, which will include latest annual accounts and performance of REIT, approval of auditor and its fees, latest valuation report, appointment of valuer, any other issue, whatever they consider it fit. And for passing that resolution, vote in favor should be more than vote against, vote casted against the resolution. Now, then in case any approval of unit holder required for investment conditions, related party transaction and valuation of assets under REIT regulation, or any regulation other than any borrowing value of which is equal to or greater than 25% of REIT asset, or any borrowing in excess of limit as specified under REIT regulation, any issue of units after an initial offer by REIT in whatever form other than any issue of units which may be considered by SEBI, increasing period of compliance with investment condition to 1 year in accordance with regulation, any issue in ordinary course of business, and any issue for which SEBI or the designated stock exchange requires approval, then such issues will be decided by the approval of unit holder if it is the vote cast in favor is more than the vote cast against the resolution. Approval by vote cast in favor should be 1.5 times more than vote cast against the resolution in cases, important cases, which means wherever there is a change including removal or change in control of manager, any material change in investment strategy, or any change in management fees of RAT, the sponsor or manager proposing to seek delisting, any issue not in ordinary course of business which in the opinion of sponsors or manager or trustee requires approval of unit holder, any issue for which SEBI or designated stock exchanges requires approval, then any issues taken up on the request of unit holders, including these are the important issues: removal of manager, auditor, valuer, appointment of another manager, another auditor, another valuer to the RAT, then delisting of RAT if the unit holder have sufficient reason to believe that such delisting would be in the interest of the unit holder, an issue which the unit holder have sufficient reason to believe that acts detrimental to the interest of the unit holder, or change in trustee if the unit holder have sufficient reasons to believe that acts of such trustee is detrimental to the interest of unit holder. All these proposals are required to be approved by in a meeting where the vote cast in favor of the resolution shall not be less than 1.5 times the vote cast against the resolution. Then how this unit holder exercise this rights: not less than 25% of unit holder by value other than any party related to the transaction and in its associates shall apply in writing to the trustee for the purpose. On receipt of such application, trustees shall require the manager to place the issue for voting in the manner as specified in regulation, and these two things require unit holder gives power 25% of the unit holder by value to call a meeting, and if change in trustee is required, then the value of the unit holder should be not less than 60%. Now what happens if there is a case of change in a sponsor or redesignated sponsor, or change in control of sponsor or redesignated sponsor? Any change to have effect prior approval of unit holder, whether where favor votes are not less than 3 times the vote cast against it, and if such change does not receive the required approval, then if there is a change of a sponsor or a redesignated sponsor, then that proposed redesignated sponsor who wants to buy the unit shall provide the dissenting unit holder an option to exit by buying their share. Secondly, in case if the change relates to the control of sponsor or redesignated sponsor, the sponsor or redesignated sponsor shall provide the dissenting unit holder an option to exit by buying their unit. I believe that the disclosure part would be important from point of view of the examination. There are certain requirement which requires manager to disclose, and he is responsible to ensuring those disclosure. These disclosures are: the manager shall ensure that the disclosure in the offer document or in accordance with schedule 2 of the REIT regulation and any circular or guideline issued by SEBI in this regard. The manager is also required to submit an annual report to all unit holders of REIT with respect to activities of REIT within 3 months from the end of financial year. Half yearly manager has to submit a report to all unit holder within 45 days from the end of the half year ending September 30th. These are the conditions. Manager is to ensure compliance with respect to disclosure in offer document, annual report with respect to activities within 3 months from the end of financial year, half yearly he is required to disclose the with respect to the activities undertaken within 45 days of half yearly ending 30th September. Then disclosure which is required by manager to be made to designated stock exchange on periodical basis, also to unit holder as per the listing agreement. These informations are it could be any information having bearing on the operation or performance of REIT, as well as price sensitive information, which includes but not limited to the following. First, acquisition or disposal of any property value of which exceed 5% of value of the REIT assets. Additional borrowing at the level of holdco or SPV or the REIT, resulting in such borrowing exceeding 5% of the value of the REIT assets during the year. If there is an additional issue of units, details of credit rating obtained by the REIT or any change in such credit rating is to be disclosed to both designated stock exchange as well as to the SEBI. Then any issue which requires approval of the unit holder, any legal proceeding which may have significant bearing on the functioning of REIT, notices and results of meeting, any instances of non-compliance with the REIT regulation, including any breach of limits specified under these regulations. Then the material issues, whatever comes, which are in the opinion of manager and trustee, needs to be disclosed to the unit holder, SEBI and designated stock exchange. As per the listing agreement, all compliances is to be done. The manager shall disclose to the designated stock exchange, unit holder and SEBI such information, and these information in a manner as specified by SEBI. The liability, REIT or party to REIT or any other person involved has the full liability if he contravenes any of the provision of the Act, REIT regulation, notification, guidelines, circulars or instruction, whatever may be. Then there is provision related to participation by the strategic investor in REIT. This has been notified by circular dated 18th January 2018 and is applicable for both infrastructure investment trust and REITs. What is a strategic investor? First, a strategic investor could be an infrastructure finance company registered with RBI as an NBFC, a scheduled commercial bank, an international multilateral financial institution, a systematically important NBFC, a foreign portfolio investor. There is a provision that all these strategic investors, either jointly or severally, shall invest not less than 5% of the total offer size of the infrastructure investment trust, or such amount as may be specified by SEBI with applicable provision of FEMA Act 1999 and the rules or regulations or guidelines made thereunder. When it comes to participation by the strategic investor in public issue of the REIT, the provision are with respect to the holding requirement, which suggests that a strategic investor should have minimum 5% holding and maximum it could go up to 25%. Public is required to hold minimum 25% and a sponsor from 5% to 70%. The issue price for a strategic investor should not be less than the price determined in the public issue, and it must be ensured that the subscription amount is kept in a separate account until the public issue is open. There is a lock-in period provided for the strategic investor, that is of 180 days from the date of listing of public issues. So with this, I hope I have covered all the important topic of lesson 2 real estate investment trust of module 3 paper 7 corporate funding and listing in a stock exchange. Now in next video I'll try to cover infrastructure investment trust vis-a-vis REIT. Though I understand that as last time question from infrastructure investment trust was asked, I believe that same will not be repeated this time. But even then, to avoid any what you will call it, avoid a situation where we have no answer to any question, we'll touch upon the infrastructure investment trust, so that we are ready with infrastructure investment trust also. Friends, I hope this is a great learning and we'll come up with flying color in our exam.